only to be lifted. No, we won't get them in just now.
Mandela.
We'll come back to it. Nelson Mandela in Congress. I refer to Mr. Mandela as the Vice President of the African National Congress, which is, of course, what he is. Oliver Tambo is the President, but remains seriously ill as a result of a stroke.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, esteemed members of the United States Congress, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact of the human condition that each shall, like a meteor, a mere brief passing moment in time and space, flit across the human stage and pass out of existence. Even the golden lads and lasses, as much as the chimney sweepers, come and tomorrow are no more. After them all, they leave the people enduring, multiplying, permanent, except to the extent that the same humanity might abuse its own genius to emulate life itself. And so we have come to Washington, in the District of Columbia, and into these hallowed chambers of the United States Congress, not as pretenders to greatness, but as a particle of a people whom we know to be noble and heroic, enduring, multiplying, permanent, rejoicing in the expectation and knowledge that their humanity will be reaffirmed and enlarged by open and unfettered communion with the nations of the world. We have come here to tell you, and through you, your own people, who are equally noble and heroic, of the troubles and trials, the fond hopes and aspirations of the people from whom we originate. We believe that we know it as a fact that your kind and moving invitation to us to speak here derived from your own desire to convey a message to our people, and according to your humane purposes, to give them an opportunity to say what they want of you, and what they want to make of their relationship with you. Our people demand democracy. Our country, which continues to bleed and suffer pain, needs democracy. It cries out for the situation where the law will decree that freedom to speak or freedom constitutes the very essence of legality and the very thing that makes for the legitimacy of the constitutional order. It thirsts for the situation where those who are entitled by law to carry arms as the forces of national security and law and order will not turn their weapons against the citizens simply because the citizens are set that equality, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are fundamental human rights which are not only inalienable, but must, if necessary, be defended with the weapons of war. We fight for and visualize a future in which all shall, without regard to race, color, creed, or sex, have the right to vote and to be voted into all elective organs of state. We are engaged in struggle to ensure that the rights of every individual are guaranteed and protected through a democratic constitution, the rule of law, an entrenched Bill of Rights, which should be enforced by an independent judiciary, as well as a multi-party political system. Mr. Speaker, we are acutely conscious of the fact that we are addressing an historic institution for whose creation and integrity many men and women lost their lives in the War of Independence, the Civil War, and the war against Nazism and fascism. That very history demands that we address you with respect and candor and without any attempt to dissemble. What we have said concerning the political arrangements we seek for our country is seriously meant. It is an outcome for which many of us went to prison, for which many have died in police cells, on the gallows, in our towns and villages, and in the countries of Southern Africa. Indeed, we have even had our political representatives killed in countries as far away from South Africa as France. Unhappily, our people continue to die to this day, victims of armed agents of the state who are still determined to turn their guns against the very idea of a non-racial democracy. But this is the perspective which we trust Congress will feel happy to support and encourage, using the enormous weight of its prestige and authority as an eminent representative of democratic practice. To deny any person their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. To impose on them a wretched life of hunger and deprivation is to dehumanize them. But such has been the terrible fate of all black persons in our country under the system of apartheid. The extent of the deprivation of millions of people has to be seen to be believed. The injury is made that more intolerable by the opulence of our white compatriots and the deliberate distortion of the economy to feed that opulence. The process of the reconstruction of South African society must and will also entail the transformation of its economy. We need a strong and growing economy. We require an economy that is able to address the needs of all the people of our country, that can provide food, houses, education, health services, social security, and everything that makes human life human, that makes life joyful and not a protracted encounter with hopelessness